Hey everybody, welcome to Climb the Ladder for our 39th episode presented by Washed Up Network. I'm your co-host Hunter, and my equally good-looking twin brother Duncan is sitting right here with me. Thank you to everybody who's been tuning in each week, and don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes and Spotify. This episode is brought to you by Kiko's Coffee and Tea. Use code CTLW at checkout for 16% off your purchase. As always, let's climb the ladder.
What's up, everybody? Duncan here, and today and every day from here on out, we are fueled by Raise Energy. They're a product of Rep Sports, and you can get your hands on your own Raise by going to repsports.com and enter code CTLRAZE, CTLRAZE, at checkout for 15% off your purchase. And let me tell you, best energy drink that I've ever had and probably ever will. So make sure you head over to Rep Sports, REPP sports.com, and get your hands on some energy. But Hunter, the real reason we're here every week is to talk some baseball, and spring training is in full swing, no pun intended, and opening day is right around the corner. So what do you say today we talk some Mariners, a little bit of predictions, some power rankings, and then end with some segments?
Yeah, let's get into it. I'm excited. Spring training is happening. We're right on schedule too, so that just helps everything feel a bit back to normal. But yeah, we have the Mariners have their home opener on April 1st, which I think the rest of the league also starts on that Thursday. So that's pretty exciting, but a lot of stuff's happening in spring training. The Mariners just got a W today. So that feels good. And yeah, we're seeing some prospects and getting some looks on some guys ahead of a pretty good, promising full 2021 season.
Yeah, one thing that I'm really excited for just before we dive into some fine details is fans in the stands. Looks like it's a full go. I don't think numbers have come out for each ball club yet as far as percentage goes, but the Mariners are selling season tickets and single game tickets already, and I know that some of the other clubs are as well. So not looking like we're going to restrict any ballpark access. So I think that conversation that we had with Michael last week about catching some Mariners, I think that that'll happen. And actually, speaking of Michael and that awesome interview that we had, one of the guys that he played against in his time at Oregon State was Jared Kalenic, and he is a rising star in Seattle right now.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about with, um, when they played LSU, SEC schools. SEC schools just have it going on as far as baseball goes. Like they don't get the screen time that or the airtime that football from the SEC gets. But as far as competitiveness, they are right up there. I did just want to say on the note of fans in the stands, I was looking online today actually at Mariners single game tickets, and then they also have 20 game season ticket options. So you get a quarter of the home games, which is pretty cool. A quarter of the home games. Sorry, after hours off the clock.
No, not as big of a numbers guy.
But I mean, that'd be pretty sweet. And they don't have any released yet to buy online, but I'm definitely going to get my hands on a few. And I think it would be cool to go to opening day if possible.
Yeah, I haven't looked, but it's probably worth looking since you're in Tacoma now, that SeaTac region. I'm sure you could get your hands on a little bit of one of those tram passes, and you could probably jet from like downtown Tacoma all the way to the stadium and back. No parking fees, no traffic.
True.
Kind of jump on that train figuratively and literally, and snag a 20 game pass, and you're going to be there.
Yeah, that would be solid. And then I was looking at Tacoma Rainiers tickets, and they are going to have a season, kind of like we talked about,
Nice.
which is just really good for the young guys, for the prospects to have games to play to cushion their stats, but just to really get that experience. And the Rainiers Stadium, they play at Cheney Stadium in Tacoma, and we'll get into a little bit of Rainiers baseball later. But they're less than 10 miles away from my house. So that's pretty solid and really cool environment over there. But yeah, do you want to go back to the SEC news and open it up with the Mariners and Kalenic and spring training and everything?
Yeah, one thing I'll note on the Rainiers really quick while you were talking about them, I just looked up what their salaries are just because they didn't have a season at all last year, but they weren't really missing out on much. Their the average ILB salary is $15,000.
Wow. That is
So
a hustle and a grind.
glad to see the Rainiers back in action. I think that the minor league players are itching to get back out there, but yeah, I'm sure we saw some as bus boys over the last year or so trying to collect a little bit of a hard-earned income. But yeah, let's jump into some Mariners ball and we'll talk a little bit about the top 10 of the power rankings. But I'm excited for April 1st. It's going to be here before we know it. You know that we'll both be rocking our jerseys all day and probably that whole week. But Jared Kalenic out of Arkansas, great prospect. He actually, I think it was on here, top 10 prospect in Major League Baseball. And then Taylor Trammell, it was a top 100 prospect. So between the two of them, looking very promising. We've also got Julio Rodriguez looking to start in our outfield this season, which I'm really excited about. Mitch Haniger, who's a friendly and well-known name around Seattle, also coming back from a ruptured testicle injury in 2019.
Yikes.
So we haven't seen him in a Mariners uniform for 2 seasons now because that was at the beginning of 2019. But
Wow.
man, you talk about a hot arm, you talk about a hot bat. His arm
Yeah.
from the outfield, his just electricity that he brings to the field. Really excited to see Haniger back at it. Also, even though he's kind of young, probably a leader on this young team. Him and Seager and a couple other of those guys, Paxton, who just returned. I think that we're definitely building the right tools, as we probably say every year. But I mean, for being ranked 24 out of 30 in the power rankings, I think that we probably didn't get all the credit we deserved. But if you want to add a little on this bullpen situation, I think that we're starting to see kind of the help that we needed coming in later in the game.
Yeah, the Mariners number three prospect kind of going into this 2021 season is right-handed pitcher Logan Gilbert. And I mean, don't sleep on him. He's going to be really good for the bullpen. He has the experience in the minor leagues. He has the stats to prove that he can be a good go-to guy. And just after some analysis, he has a really high upside. So I mean, he could shoot for the top of the rotation this year, like maybe number two spot. But even if it takes another year to really get going, to see him in the number four spot of the rotation, the Mariners are really finally kind of coming around, like you said, with the tool belt. They're really like putting the tools in the tool belt, really building the bullpen, which I think, we turn on a Mariners game and we're down like 10 runs. Like we really have to beef up that bullpen. And I think that in the last, what do you say, since 2018, kind of rebuilding, I think that the bullpen has been a big focus. So Gilbert's going to really contribute. And then two other guys, Emerson Hancock out of Georgia. So another SEC guy, really good baseball. And then George Kirby, two more righties actually that are supposed to be really good prospects
I was
for the
going to
Mariners.
interrupt you, but I didn't until just now. Emerson Hancock, first and foremost, and then George Kirby. Talk about two baseball names.
Oh yeah, I was gonna end it with that, but man, talk about baseball names. You can just hear it over the PA, like taking the field. Emerson Hancock.
Yeah, and then George Kirby, it's like a little more old school, but still like you've got young gun George Kirby up on the mound.
Oh
He's just
yeah.
dealing. He's in the bottom of the seventh, and he's just really trying to namesake climb the ladder
Mm.
and just reaching up for it. I think that I think those are, I mean, just potential with names right there. But
I
yeah,
think
that
anytime you hit it with a George, you can just like hit George on the sharp note. And I mean, I think that you can just really put the emphasis on it, and then you just drag out Kirby. That's a good announcement. Especially yeah, if he can get the nod a couple times, see how he
yeah.
does in spring training and everything.
Yeah, you can
And
even hear Dave Niehaus' voice echoing throughout the walls of Safeco, yelling Emerson Hancock dealing in the bottom of the sixth. Like, I mean, that's just on. So
yeah,
excited to hear those.
speaking of a little flashback, on Monday of this week, it was an on this date in 1997, March March 8th, 97. They broke ground on what was Safeco Field, is now T-Mobile Park,
Whoa.
with the Kingdom in the background, and they had Lou Piniella and Ken Griffey Jr. with shovels at home plate to break ground. So that was pretty cool. So I'm excited to get back to sit in the stadium. And I mean, yeah, we've talked about that the last couple episodes, but man, it's just going to be good to be back at the ballpark, but also just to watch some of these guys in person. And then like I'd never been to a Rainiers game, but now I'm right here, and maybe to
Yeah.
watch some of these prospects get some double A time with the Rainiers.
Yeah. Well, and like Clayton said a couple weeks ago on our Way Out Here episode, that Rainiers ballpark is stunning. Like you drive by it on I-5 and it's just a beautiful place to play baseball. So I'm sure you're going to see some good talent. I'm sure you'll see some guys that are recovering that get sent down for a couple weeks. That's the nice thing about having the farm club right there a
Oh
few
yeah.
miles away. They can send them down for 2 games if they want to, get their pride back up, hit a couple dingers for the Rainiers, and then leapfrog back into the Mariners club. So I'm excited for that. Definitely have to check out some Rainiers games as well. And man, the weather last week, 67 degrees here on Friday, just made me really want to get out
Oh
into
yeah.
some baseball. And now, in addition to the Hawks for everybody to hear, we've got the Canyon County Spuds. So if that's
Yeah,
not
there
Idaho
you go.
baseball, I don't know what is.
Yeah, we have a stretch of sunny days, like 5 days in a row here, like 52. So a nice transition into spring. Kind of gets the baseball feels going. I was on a run, and it just felt like, a good baseball practice weather. Um,
Nice.
you know, so looking forward to spring around here, and really just getting back into the baseball feel. Kind of want to round out the talk of the Mariners prospects, with talking about Marte at shortstop. He's going to be a big factor this year, really developing and growing. And then, like you said, Trammell, from who was part of the San Diego trade,
Mm-hmm.
he is going to be a weapon in the outfield, I think.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. Definitely a lot of potential, hoping for minimal injuries and maximum performance. So we'll see what they do this year, because I think that those will be some good names to keep an eye on. But a couple other prospective baseball things that I'd like to talk about for a few minutes is a little bit of baseball power ranking. So Mariners coming in probably where they belong at 24. We won't contest that quite yet. We'll wait till like April 10th when we're probably like 8-2, top of the league, and say, you doubted us. And then 10 more games later, we'll be on an 8-game losing streak. So it's all, it all balances out. But there's a few things that I was not surprised at all by in the top 10, and then a couple teams that stood out. So 1 and 2, we've got the Dodgers and the Padres. Don't have to talk much about them. They've been filling the media. But getting to number 3 is the Atlanta Braves. And that was a team that I thought was a little bit interesting.
I thought that was a little high. I kind of wanted to say something when we were talking to Michael last week.
Yeah.
Um, I do like the Braves, and especially using the personnel that they have on. I think I saw some like crazy comparison on how much they've spent on players compared to the Dodgers, and they were right there at the end of like in the champion or in the running for the championship at the end of the short season. So I think that the Braves have it going on with, I mean, they've just spent less money, which is really cool. But it is surprising that they're above the Yankees, who come in at number 4.
Yeah, I thought that they would probably be 3 and maybe the Braves were lower in the top 10, but I feel like the Yankees are always up there. I feel like they have the tools. I don't think there's any reason that they shouldn't prove themselves as at least the number 4 team in the country. So that'll be fun to watch them. I feel like they're pretty consistent. I feel like they're going to give us what we expect this year, um, which I think really takes us to number 5. Way higher of the two Chicago teams is the White Sox. The Cubs were way down there towards the bottom, but the White Sox have a lot of potential. Another team we'll get into in a minute, the Mets. Between the White Sox, the Mets, and then the Blue Jays, I think that these are 3 of the teams that probably, in my opinion, have some of the biggest potential as far as off-season transactions and just really making big moves goes. So really excited to see what this White Sox team does. I think it'll be a pretty pretty exciting team. One person specifically, Jose Abreu. I think people are starting to know his name more and more, and I think that the White Sox have made some really smart decisions this offseason. So that's definitely a team to keep your eye on in addition to the Mets and the Blue Jays.
Yeah, and I think that the Mets have a lot. Obviously, they've been one of the um, most active teams in the offseason. And so they're at 6 right now, but they could, I mean, they'll be dangerous during the season. I just think that they have a lot of new talent from that they've gathered from around the league that hasn't been able to like actually show time on the diamond yet. Um, so I think the Mets are probably in a pretty good spot. And then coming in at number 7 is the Twins, um, featuring our old guy, Nelson Cruz, who is a longtime Mariner. Um, I think last I heard they were trying to make a deal with him, decide if he was going to DH or not, or how that was going to go. But I mean, the Twins have some weapons. They just got on Andrelton Simmons. Um, I mean, Max Kepler. Uh, they just have some units there, some Gold Glove candidates. So I think that the Twins will be a team to watch, and they'll definitely be competitive.
Yeah, the Twins were a little higher than I would have put them on my own list. Looking at them at number 7, definitely didn't think that they would be above the Blue Jays just with the electricity that the Blue Jays had last year and have coming this year. So I didn't think that they would take the one spot above them. But Andrelton Simmons, Nelson Cruz, definitely a lot of upswing there. But we'll see what happens in Minnesota because I just don't know if they're that caliber, but I could eat my words here in a few months. So we'll see what happens with them. But the Blue Jays, the big talk of the league, big transactions along with the White Sox and the Mets. I think that the Blue Jays have a good shot at making a run this season.
Yeah, I think they will. We saw Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I mean, he was electric at the plate. They got George Springer. I mean, they, without even getting into their bullpen or anything, just the guys on the field and at the plate, they have it going on. So yeah, I think that they'll be able to make a run. And then coming in behind them is the Rays, who we saw perform really well, pretty surprising, kind of an underdog. That came with that the at the end of the short season, just kind of making a run. I mean, they took the Dodgers to Game 6. Um, so we'll see if they can make it back to the American League Championship or at least make a run, but they'll definitely be a team that's up there.
Yeah, then rounding out our top 10, we've got the St. Louis Cardinals. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not opposed to this. Probably again, like the Twins, a little higher than I would have put them. I'd say top 15, sure. Um, they do have I mean, they just signed Nolan Arenado, which is a good signing, a little bit older than he was before, but maybe the Cardinals will squeeze up and at least take their division. They might not have the most wins in the league, but they'll definitely be able to beat out the Reds and the Cubs in the NL Central. So I think it'll be fun to see how that plays out. I think that the Cards have some potential. They haven't seen great success for a few years now. And so I think being in the top 10 hopefully puts a little chip on their shoulder and helps them kind of rise to the occasion. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
we'll
think
see
one
how they
team
play out.
one team that is just outside the top 10 is the A's, representing the AL West, who we have found as pretty fierce competition lately for the Mariners. So I think that they're a respectable mention, just right outside the top 10. They're a good team, and we see a lot of them, obviously, being a division competitor.
Yeah, I think the A's, especially with Lazardo that we saw at the end of last season, I think that I mean, honestly, I don't know why they wouldn't win the AL West again. The Astros are a little bit further down this list, but I don't think they're going to win it. The Angels are a little bit behind the Astros, and I think the Angels do have potential. I would love to see them finish above the Stros, but ultimately, I think this year at least will go to the A's, if not the next 2 years, before the Mariners rise to the occasion and take it in 2022 or 23. So, definitely agree with the A's here, and I think that they might have some of the most potential in the league, just as far as their momentum goes.
Yeah, for sure. Well, to kind of loop back in on the Rainiers, pretty excited about them. Like we said, they are going to have a minor league baseball season, but it did get delayed. They're going to start on May 6th, which hopefully gives them a little more time to get everything ironed out, get some details, and really get some fans in the stands. Kind of kick off the summer. I mean, a couple weeks before Memorial Day, what's better than ballpark dog and a beer at a baseball stadium on Memorial Day? So hopefully we can get the Rainiers maybe with some red, white, and blue R logos. That would be pretty cool. And I thought just a fun little shout out, as I was looking for Mariners tickets as well as Rainiers tickets today. Um, I saw that the Rainiers have been top 25 in merch sales for the fifth consecutive year in a row. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, a lot of it probably has to do with Rainier beer, which I think, in my opinion, is the best on the mountain while you're skiing. But I feel like that's a pretty cool accomplishment, and it's funny that people even track that. But also pretty cool because there's a lot of minor league teams.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, everybody knows their logo, whether you know that they're actually a baseball team or not. I always think that it's cool that all of our local teams have something to do with the area. So obviously Rainier, Mount Rainier, the Seattle Sounders, for the Puget Sound, the Mariners. That's like with the marina right there. Seahawks give in.
The
Um,
Kraken, Sea Monsters.
Kraken's a cool new one. Seattle Storm, WNBA. Obviously, it rains a lot. Very
I have to
fitting.
say, I've seen a lot of Kraken gear, like going through Costco or whatever, that people are repping. There's a lot of hype. I can already feel it.
That's exciting. The Aqua Sox also one more to round out the single A team for the
Yeah.
Mariners. You've kind of got a little bit of everything. So,
Thunderbirds for whatever division hockey they are.
oh, classic. Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, Rainiers, excited for them. Pretty cool little stat on there. But what do you say, Hutch? Jump into a few of our favorite segments.
Yeah, kind of sliding into home plate after all this baseball. Um, our segments are always brought to you by Apex Koozie. We love Apex Koozie. Duncan was visiting Seattle for the weekend, and we had a little in-person cheers to our drinks. We had those iced tea Trulies that were
Mm.
so good, held in our tall, skinny can Apex Koozies. So if you want one for yourself, like we just talked about, it's spring, it's warming up, and we're right around the corner from summer. believe it or not. Go get your own hands on an Apex koozie using code washed up for 10% off at checkout at apexkoozie.com. But what do you say? Let's jump outside the diamond for a second.
Yeah, not a whole lot today for outside the diamond, but probably the biggest and most notable thing that we can't continue on without talking about is that Dak Prescott has gotten a massive deal from the Dallas Cowboys. So there was speculation, is Russell Wilson going to go to Dallas? Are we going to get Dak in Seattle? Is Derek Carr going to go to Dallas? Is Dak going to go to Oakland or Las Vegas? All the quarterback carousel talk put to rest, at least for a little bit, with Dak getting a 4-year deal worth $160 million with a whopping
Crazy.
126 guaranteed. That's now the second part of this. Well, first part, congratulations, huge deal. Averaging 40 million a year, that 126 guaranteed is crazy these days because he could go down tomorrow and he's got 126 in his pocket. But Hunter, the second part here is I'd like to just get a little bit of thoughts going on, one, did he actually deserve it? I've always been a Dak fan as far as he was overlooked at Mississippi State. He had a lot of potential. Nobody really saw him. He really came in and just took over for Romo, earned the spot. But now I feel like he's a little overhyped. What do you think about that 4-year blockbuster deal, making him the highest paid quarterback in the league,
I mean,
other than Mahomes?
yeah, I think that that's steep for Dak, after like seeing his performance and everything. I think that the Cowboys think that they're going to make a run in the next 4 years, and I would be shocked if they can compete in an SEC in an sorry, not SEC, in an NFC division where, well, okay, their division they could
Trash.
steamroll that is trash, but to compete in that conference to try to get to the top of the NFC, even one of the next 4 years, the Cowboys will not do it. Mark my words, I'm not scared to say that. So I think that Dak is a good athlete. I'm with you. I am a Dak fan for the Cowboys. I don't really want him anywhere else. I
No.
think he could go to somewhere like Chicago to stay in the NFC or something, but I mean, he's a Cowboy. Um, I think that it is very respectable that he got this deal after getting hurt. Um, and we did see the effect that it had on the Cowboys, who sucked this last year. Um, I mean, shout out Andy Dalton, good try, but he's just kind of at the end of his career. But we did see a Cowboys team get largely affected without Dak Prescott. So I think he is deserving of this contract, and I'm of a contract, but not of this size.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that you make that I didn't necessarily think about. My first two initial reactions were that's more than he deserves because he was hurt last season, and thank God he's not coming to Seattle. Now that I've had a day or two to digest it a little bit, um, I think now that you say that, especially, I think he is deserving of a contract. There was a lot of speculation last year. Is Dak going to sit out? They ended up paying Zeke, which really didn't pan out this year because Zeke just laid a big old egg. I think
Mhm.
he is way overrated compared to what they think they have in him.
Yeah.
But I think Dak definitely deserves some money. Granted, he has plenty now, regardless of what happens this season. But I think coming off of an injury, that's hard to pay somebody that much money. But then again, you make a great point that I think Dallas had a lot more potential than their 7-win season this year. And I think that with Dak, they probably were a sure winner of that NFC East division. And so it'll be interesting to see what Dallas ends up doing. They have a great O line, they have a great defense. I think that they're close. They have some young wide receivers. Amari Cooper, obviously a great trade for them a couple years ago from the Raiders. And then CeeDee Lamb growing. He wasn't outstanding, but he's growing. I think there's potential there. I mean, I would be surprised if they were NFC champs one of the next 4 years, let alone Jerry said that they're going to win a Super Bowl in the next four. I just haven't seen it since Romo was there, and I don't think that a massive signing of a contract for Dak is going to get him there. So I think you make a good point. Very fair that he got paid. He deserved a contract. He is a difference maker in Dallas, but at the same time, that's a lot of money for a guy that you barely saw play last year. So
Yeah. And also just to wrap that up, nobody really likes the Cowboys. It's kind of like the Yankees.
yeah.
So props to Dak, but I would just be really surprised if he puts up like Russell Wilson stats or Mahomes stats to show that he deserves that kind of contract.
Yeah, definitely his contract to prove everybody wrong about, because I think that a lot of people probably think he got overpaid. So who knows? Maybe he'll shock the world and just come out slinging. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Well, something else that's right around the corner, even sooner than the start of baseball season, is March Madness is almost here. So get those wheels turning, watch some games so that you can say that you jumped in before the bracket actually started. But hey, it's March and the madness is just about here.
Yeah, always excited for March Madness. Definitely at fault for not paying attention to basketball until like 2 weeks before.
Well, yeah, I say that I'm
bracketology.
going to every year.
I know I'm always like, man, hate the NBA, bitter Sonics fan. Definitely going to dive into college hoops more. Love college hoops. I used to love going to the Broncos games. They actually had a decent season, pretty close in the Mountain West Championship this year. I definitely love college basketball. It just slips my radar every year. And then I'm like, okay, let's fill out the bracket. Let's put some money in. Let's win something. It's like game two bracket bust. But, you know, always exciting every year, has been since we were freshmen in high school. So
Yeah.
excited to see who we fill out, and maybe we'll do a little bracketology once we get closer.
Yeah, and they moved from the opening round Thursday, Friday. Now it's Friday, Saturday.
Yeah,
So that
that'll be a
might,
big revenue builder for B Dubs.
yeah. So maybe take half day on Friday, go plant yourself at B Dubs, beer and wings, and then all day Saturday from the couch.
Yeah, sounds like a plan to me.
Well, we're excited that with the return of baseball, we will have our washed up fantasy baseball league returning. So you guys can look forward to updates from that every week. And I vow to do a lot better. I didn't even know my login, which, okay, classic excuse, but I didn't even know how to play. I am going to be a top 5 contender this season, especially coming off of my washed up fantasy football uh almost champion second place. You guys remember, tough loss.
Yeah, that was a tough loss. I'm excited for fantasy baseball. Second consecutive year, third year total in our lifetime, because we played back like freshman year of high school. So excited to get back into fantasy feats and failures. Hopefully, a lot more updates coming out of fantasy baseball. And then the one and final exciting thing that Hunter actually is a free agent for this year. But we've got the return of beer league softball, both men's and co-ed, coming to a field near you in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, so with my departure from Boise, I handed over the reins after 2 seasons as the manager of the co-ed team. First bench warmers, then it was the bench warmers 2.0 because we had a very revamped team. And
It was
although
kind
this
of
is
a full rebrand, if one might add.
full rebrand. So still, I think it's going to keep at the Benchwarmers 2.0 because most of the team is returning. I'll be able to make a few Sunday guest appearances. But Duncan is now the proud manager of Benchwarmers 2.0 for the co-ed softball league as well as the men's team. So hoping for a lot of good reports out of the Boise Parks and Rec leagues from Duncan, and I am currently a free agent in Pierce County, both in Tacoma and Puyallup. So I'm trying to make a name for myself around here.
Yeah, don't sleep on 00 Hunter, aka the manager Robertson, because free agent up there in Pierce County, he's about to be a 250 over the fence force to be reckoned with. So you might have to go spring on a new bat because I think you left the bat here in the garage. But get your hands on one of those nice softball bats and get to swinging.
Yeah, drop some coin on a little dynamite stick and yeah, pick me up, everybody. Pierce County. I could drive to King County, but I'm not technically a resident. So
True.
uh, let me know. But I'm your guy.
Well, I'm excited. That's coming up here soon. Spring is in the air. Baseball's in the air. The baseball gods are looking like they want us to play because fans are going to be in the stadium. Spring training's in full swing. They're selling out every spring training game because people are just itching for America's pastime to return. So I'm excited that we are going to finally have some baseball on time, in person, and a lot of content to talk about.
Heck yeah. And if you guys haven't caught any of our most recent episodes, you definitely don't want to miss the episode from last week with Michael. That was episode 38. And then the week before was with our friends, our brothers, Riston, Ben, and Trevor. And then before that was with The Way Out Here, guys. So go check out those recent episodes. Highly recommend the one with Michael. It was cool hearing about his story. But we will leave you guys with that.
And one more thing that I have to add, just a side note that reminded me of one more interview to make sure you go check out episode 28 with the Davenport brothers, Adam and Aaron Davenport. Some of you might have seen on Twitter over the weekend the Pitching Ninja account. Type in Pitching Ninja on Twitter. It has almost 300,000 views. Aaron Davenport dealing the dirtiest curveball of 2021, or maybe of
Buckle sitting in my office chair.
yeah. I think that kid is still dodging the curveball. So go on Twitter, check out the Pitching Ninja. He tweeted a video about 4 or 5 days ago of Aaron Davenport. We had him and his brother Adam on episode 28. He is a pitcher for the University of Hawaii and likely draft prospect for this spring. So don't sleep on Aaron. Make sure you check out that awesome interview with him. And I think that's all I've got from here.
All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed. Go check out those other episodes. And with that,
Let's climb the ladder.